Today we're going to be traveling to the land down under. And yes, I'm of course talking about Australia. This is really one of the biggest countries in the whole world, and they are also home to some amazing roller coasters. In one of my recent videos I got the request, please do Australia from Gingerbread Hen. Yes, of course, but New Zealand got neglected. So now I've collected 15 of the best roller coasters in Australia. So all you have to do is sit back, relax and enjoy this video. And coming in at spot number 15 we have Moto Coaster at Dreamworld Australia. This coaster was actually the first Intamin motorbike launch coaster. And let's just say Intamin has made better rides, because this roller coaster really isn't that great. This roller coaster can really be described as bank turn the ride, because you have a decent launch, but after that you just turn slowly, you turn slowly yet again, turn slowly, and then you go over a little turn, and then you're done, man. This ride is also a bit rattly, but the first turn has some positive G-forces, but the rest of this layout is so boring. And coming in at spot number 14 we have Storm Coaster at SeaWorld Australia, and this really is overall a decent mug rise water coaster. And I can already tell you there's a huge difference between the coaster at spot number 15 and this one. This water coaster has a decent half janky layout that goes into a great drop with an airtime hill and then a huge splashdown. What makes this roller coaster better is the immersive theming, because you have a cool pre-lift indoor section and then the splashdown actually happens inside and indoors, and you can't really see anything, but then you have a cool indoor section after the splashdown with a lot of theming also. So nice, man. And now coming in at spot number 13 we have a Wild Mouse at Luna Park in Sydney. And this Wild Mouse is a very old roller coaster that dates all the way back to the 1950s. And of course you can have a Wild Mouse model without sharp turns, but this ride doesn't take the sharp turns that fast, so it didn't really offer that many lateral forces. But after the first story of sharp turns you really have a great Wild Mouse roller coaster, because then you have a fast paced layout with many dips and sharp turns, and these are just way better than the start section. Combined with a fantastic view of the Sydney Bay area, you have a great Wild Mouse. And coming in at spot number 12 we have the Scenic Railway at Luna Park in Sydney. And yet again we have a classic roller coaster at Luna Park in Sydney, but this one dates all the way back to 1912. Even though this roller coaster is one of the oldest coasters in the whole world, it does still offer a few airtime moments. The rest of this wooden roller coaster layout is quite slow and stale, but you have a few airtime moments, so that's great. And on top of that you have an onboard brakeman and an iconic view over the bay, so a plus point for the nostalgia. And coming in at spot number 11 we have Gold Coaster at Dreamworld Australia. Now we've moved up into a category where the rides are way more intense, and the Gold Coaster is very intense yet very janky mess of aero track. And let me tell you, this is one of the weirdest layouts on an aero looper. The first 80% of this roller coaster track is without inversions. It just has bank turns and straight track. The ride then finishes up with two inversions, a sidewind and then a vertical loop, and these offer crushing positive G-forces. So overall crazy positive G's, very rough but weird layout. I like it. And coming in at spot number 10 we have Abyss at Adventure World, and this roller coaster is part of the iconic Gerstlauer Eurofighter model. And funny enough, this roller coaster is the Australian version of Saw the Ride. Unfortunately Abyss doesn't have any theming on the indoor section of this roller coaster, and this roller coaster also features the iconic Eurofighter model trains with the over the shoulder restraints, and you know my opinion about these are just so uncomfortable. But overall this track layout is forceful and very awesome. You have a great drop, great airtime moments, great inversions and positive G-forces, but it is destroyed by the uncomfy rattle and vest restraints. And coming in at spot number 9 we have Scooby-Doo Spooky Coaster at Warner Bros Movie World. This roller coaster is a heavily themed mug rise Wild Mouse coaster. This coaster hasn't been operating for a year now, but I had to include it on the list. This Wild Mouse coaster has a huge dark ride section with sudden drops and scary turns, but the theming is outdated. On top of that you also have a backwards drop before you go into a traditional Wild Mouse layout. While getting blasted with lights and light beams you have a decent mug rise layout. Hopefully this coaster will undergo a refurbishment. And coming in at spot number 8 we have Green Lantern Coaster at Warner Bros Movie World. And yet again Warner Bros Movie World takes a point with this El Loco roller coaster by SNS. And this coaster made a huge step in the quality of the roller coasters on this list, because this Green Lantern roller coaster is one of the best El Loco models out there. This roller coaster has one of the steepest drops in the world, giving ejector airtime, and you also have strong laterals on the turns, and you have decent airtime on the smaller drops, and after that you also have inversions with a lot of hang time. So overall a decent roller coaster. Let's move on, man. And coming in at spot number 7 we have the Big Dipper Coaster at Luna Park in Sydney. This coaster is quite new, and it is actually the first single rail roller coaster made by Intamin. This coaster overall has a very short but great layout. First of all you have a short and punchy tire launch with a little turn and a few dips without airtime, but then you hit a punchy tire launch that goes up into these main elements. You fly up into this non-inverting loop element giving airtime and laterals, and after that you have a strong positive G-force heavy Immelman inversion. Then in the end you hit a twisty layout with airtime, a hang time fill inversion and positive G-forces. And with Intamin lap bars this ride is smooth and great. And coming in at spot number 6 we have Tower of Terror 2 2 at Dreamworld Australia. And I know it's a bit of a cheat taking a standing but not operating roller coaster, but this was iconic. This roller coaster was a huge reverse freefall tower by Intamin that took the riders up to a near 400 feet, reaching 100 miles per hour. This insane launch through the tunnel could be experienced backwards and forwards, and once you reached the top of this roller coaster, you could feel this freefall element in your tummy. So this coaster really was iconic. I had to mention it. And now coming in at spot number 5, we have Jet Rescue at SeaWorld Australia. And this coaster overall is just a very great family roller coaster made by Intamin. This roller coaster is part of an iconic coaster model by Intamin called the motorbike coaster, where you have this motorbike/speedboat seating that is just great. Jet Rescue's layout mainly consists of low to the ground elements where you have many twists and turns with positive G-forces, and on top of that you have 2 punchy tire launches. Combined with a few whippy S-hills and decent theming, you have a great family coaster. And coming in at spot number 4, we have Steel Taipan at Dreamworld Australia. This coaster design is a looping roller coaster by Mack Rides, and this layout copies the Bluefire roller coaster Europa Park, but this coaster Steel Taipan has a swing launch, and it also has a spiral stall that looks very weird. And let me be honest, these swing launches doesn't really have any punch, but the coaster layout with inversions are great. You have great airtime moments, whippy inversions, and then the inversion at the end is just crazy. This hardline roll really has a lot of whip. To be honest, I don't really know if the Steel Taipan swing launch is better than the direct launch at Bluefire. And coming in at spot number 3, we have Superman Escape at Warner Bros. Movie World. And let me tell you, this is a great and classic Intamin accelerator coaster with the hydraulic launch. This ride may not be the longest or biggest roller coaster, but it does really pack a punch. Superman Escape has a strong airtime filled top hat, and after that you have many airtime moments and strong bank turns, and you also fly in and out of a show building. That looks awesome. Mixed with great airtime moments and a cool dark ride section before the launch, you have a great roller coaster. And let's give this coaster plus points for having Superman on the back end of this train. And now coming in at spot number 2, we have Leviathan at SeaWorld Australia. And let me tell you, this really is a world-class wooden roller coaster made by the Gravity Group. Leviathan has awesome theming with a great queue line and station, and then you have that awesome looking train design. After that you have a very lengthy wooden roller coaster with a great first drop and many different airtime moments. This coaster layout really has everything from ejector to floater airtime. Leviathan really is a twisted ball of wooden roller coaster mess that is a little bit slow in the end. That's my only negative about this ride. It is a little bit slow in the end. And now coming in at spot number 1, we have DC Rivals Hyper Coaster at Warner Bros. Movie World. And this really is one of Mack Ride's best products. This roller coaster really has a very lengthy layout combined with a big variety of elements. This roller coaster packs anything from floater airtime to ejector airtime on this layout. This ride is not perfect. You have a few dull elements where it just turns and doesn't do nothing. The best elements on DC Rivals Hyper Coaster is by far the twisted first drop in the back row, and after that you also have the non-inverting loop. This element gives airtime and laterals at the same time, and the ending is relentless. You have many airtime hills that give ejector airtime. The craziest thing you can do on DC Rivals is taking the backwards facing seat. Then this ride experience is on a whole nother level. And now if we quickly look at the parks with the most coasters on this list, we have Warner Bros. Movie World with 4 coasters. We also have Dreamworld Australia with 4 coasters. Then we also have SeaWorld Australia with 3 coasters and Luna Park Sydney with 3 coasters. So all these parks has a great mix of coasters on this list, but I would recommend taking Warner Bros. Movie World if you only have place for 1 park. And if you have place for 2 parks, take SeaWorld Australia. That is an underrated park. And now we finally come to an end of this video. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Have I missed some coasters? I don't really know, man. And then in the end of the day, I'm always gonna say bye bye.